Hello, my name's Leanne, and I'm going to be walking you through the tutorial of the Breezy shorts. So this is a pair of newborn ones I did. I like to start a new pattern by doing a pair in newborn if I have time, or if I can, especially if it has things that I haven't done before. So I prefer to do it this way. It doesn't use as much fabric and they're adorable. And if they turn out well, then you can give them away, gift them to someone. So this is my newborn ones that I did. These are in flannel because I have a ton of flannel, and since this pattern can be done in woven or knit, I'm going to be doing woven today, and I did woven for these. So to start, you are going to need some fabric, a rotary cutter, or some scissors. I also have my scissors here. You'll need clips or pins. I use clips, but you can use pins as well. Every once in a while I'll use pins. I have some pins here. And then you want to use a fabric pen, but to make it easier for you to be able to see, I am just going to be using a pink pen today. But I do have a chalk one. I just don't think you're going to be able to see it very well. This one comes off. It's for fabric specifically. Oh, whoops, I'm unscrewing it. It's for fabric specifically. It's got this roller right here. It comes off in the wash. It's just, oh, well, it might show up pretty well for y'all to see. So, might use that if it shows up well enough. If not, I'll just use my pen. I do use my pen a lot, especially on like just the inside of the fabric. It doesn't really change anything for me to use it on the inside, so I do use it. You'll need a cutting mat, unless you're going to be doing it with scissors. You have your own process. I used to do it with scissors on my carpet. And then I did print out the pattern. So I have a printout of the pattern over here. I have it all taped together and ready. Or you can use your projector if you want to use that. I do have a projector as well. I just had a couple people that wanted me to go ahead and do a printout version, so I did. So you just have two pieces for this, just the one big piece and your ruffle if you're going to do the ruffle. I leave the pieces together and then just have this fold so that if I want to do it as one whole piece, because this does have 3 options, it can be as one solid piece. It can be as one piece where you have it coming down and you cut this chunk out and then sew it together to have a seam. Or when you're doing the ruffle, you will also cut here and you'll have where you will be hemming this up in a curve and putting your ruffle at this location. So got that ready. Get that out of the way. So let's get started. A couple things I forgot to mention that you will need a 1-inch elastic, and then I use these tiles that I crafted to make pattern weights. I use a couple of them at a time unless I'm just weighing down paper, so you will need some of those or something to hold down. I'll go ahead and put so that part is done. Put that aside. Also something that you do not need, but I suggest, I keep a basket off to the side. If I'm doing small pieces, I don't use this basket, but I keep a basket off to the side so I can keep all my cut pieces in one spot. I have had it too many times where I've accidentally cut one of my actual pieces thinking it was scrap, and you don't want to do that. So to keep me from doing that, I always have a little basket. So to start, I'm just going to lay out my fabric. This does not have a front and a back, so that part does not matter for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to fold this over so that I can go ahead and cut 2. Because you will need 2 of each of these. So I am going to go ahead and just leave it on the fold and cut these. So first, make sure it fits well. If you have a projector or if you're wondering about getting a projector, feel free to comment on this tutorial and ask any questions you have. I am fine with pulling up my projector and showing you if you would like to see how much faster it is to cut with your projector and to pull it up and what it looks like. I know a lot of people don't have one. I started with just the one that I had in our bedroom because we had a little projector that we used so that we could have like a big movie night experience. So I just have that one. I recently got a one that you would see like in a school. I recently got one of those from eBay, maybe Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace. I was looking on eBay, but I couldn't find one. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out, ask away. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and cut this piece, and then I'm going to mark, see these notches, I'm going to mark where my notch is for my size, so that I know where the curve needs to end up at. So I'm doing 2T, so it's the green one, it's a dark green, so it's just going to be this one right here. So just line this up. Lined up. Right, and then I'm just going to use my fabric pen to mark that dark green spot right here. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So I just did on this side. So now I'm going to flip it, do it on the other side as well. And this does just wash off. It even sometimes just wipes off, so you gotta be careful with it. But here's that. So now I'm done with this pattern piece. So then I need my ruffles. So this is usually when I'll go through like my scrap areas and see if I have any spots where I can cut those. So this is on a fold and you do need to cut 4. So you'll have one for the front, one for the back for each side. So here's this one. So you'll have the front piece and the back piece that you sew together. So let's see if I have enough. I don't. Okay, so I'm just gonna use big chunks. Cut this off. Right. Okay, so there's one. Just need to cut 3 more. So I'm gonna cut those off camera real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so got all my pieces cut. Not that many pieces, just 4 of these, 2 of each of these. Please make sure if you're using directional fabric that you're cutting in the right direction for this and for this, because like I did with my dinosaur, you're going to want the dinosaurs to be the correct direction. Sorry about that. Just hit my stand. You're going to want the dinosaurs to be in the correct direction. You don't want them to be upside down. So make sure you're cutting your directional fabric the correct way, especially like just the normal pieces. You don't want the butt to be all wrong. Okay, so I've got these. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and the elastic the ruffle needs to stop an inch from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that on here, just like I did down here with the chalk. So I'm just going to lay it over like this, and since I'm on my board, I can measure what an inch is from right here. So just have my two squares. And then I just do that with both sides, so I can make sure that I have all of my marks done. And then I don't have to pin as much either whenever I have all the marks. So. All right, so got that. So everything's marked and ready. I need to sew together my bases. So this is where you would have right sides together. So I'm just going to take one here. I'm going to make this right side and right side. Got a little scrap. I'm going to sew together these two. Let me pin this. Okay, so I'm going to be sewing together these two. And then the opposite. So then I'm going to flip these ones over and sew these together, because they would be opposites if I had directional fabric or if I had a front and back. This is woven, so it's not, but so now I'll get these two pieces sewn together, and then it'll be the crotch and stuff. So get that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have those two sewn together. I just use my serger. You can use a sewing machine, especially with patterns like this where it can be woven or knit, because it doesn't need any stretch. But you can also use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. That's what I did before I got my serger. So I'm going to now go ahead and get our ruffles prepped. So I'm going to grab two of them. I'm going to sew along the outer edge. You use your sewing machine. I use my serger on the dinosaur one, and since I top stitched the edge of it, I didn't see any issues using my serger. You can definitely use your sewing machine if you want it to be flatter. I'm just going to go ahead and use my serger just to make it faster. So I'm just going to serge these edges, and then I'll come back after I get both of these done, and we'll turn them right side out and iron, and then get them top stitched. Okay, so I just went through and did one. Sorry, I'm shaking. I just went through and did one. So now I'm just going to do the other. I just use this, this is for elastic and for drawstring to pull through hoodies. I use this to curve my edges because it doesn't have any pointed pieces on it. So I just go in like that and make sure that it's all nice and curved before I iron. Making sure that's nice and flat. Flip it over, make sure the back is nice and flat as well. Okay, so now we're going to move over to my sewing machine so that I can show you how to make a ruffle. So just gonna head over there, 1 second. Okay, so first I'm just going to show you, excuse my nails, they're awful. First I'm just going to show you how I top stitch along the edge. I'm just going to do everything with black, just to make it easier for y'all to see. And the shirt that I was going to pair it with has black in it anyway, so it's fine. And then, excuse me on this, this is a new sewing machine and it doesn't, you don't have to use a pressure foot, so it has like a button, so it takes me a second. But okay. Got my back stitch going. Staying along the edge. Bumps it again. So I just top stitched right along the edge, got a little close right there, but top stitch along the edge. I'm gonna do the same to the other one, but first let me show you how to gather. So you can use a gathering foot, you can use elastic. I know a lot of people like to just gather using elastic. I'm just gonna be pulling the bobbin thread today, so that's the way that just works the best for me overall, being able to adjust how I want it done. Whenever I use the foot that does gathering, this gathering foot, I can't measure out how much I've gathered. If you have a way for me to do that with this, please let me know. I haven't been using this that long, so maybe there's a way and I just am crazy. So whenever you gather, you're just going to stay within your seam allowance and then extend your stitch as much as it can. So I'm just going to extend mine to 4. Still start with a back stitch so that you have one spot staying, and then just go along where you're gathering. Okay, and then here, you're not going to back stitch. Just going to be taking your bobbin, which I left white here. You're gonna be taking your bobbin thread and pulling it. So take your bobbin. And you just pull it. So I'm going to do that to the other one as well, and then I'll show you on our pants how much you need to gather. So be right back. Okay, so you're going to want to gather until you reach the top of where your elastic's going to be folding over, and down here to where we're going to be curving this hem. So you want to be able to reach right here to right here. So I'm just going to grab my bobbin thread. Make sure you do this slowly so you don't break the bobbin thread, because then you have to restart. Okay, so it's going to need to be starting there, going to there. Bit more. All right, so that's gonna fit. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this to the top thread so that it doesn't move as much. All right, I've got that tied. Here's my gather. It's ready to be attached. I do it a tiny bit more just in case whenever I'm serging it together, it cuts into this and makes it where it falls off. You can also do just your sewing machine on this, but I do like to use my serger to have a more finished seam. So with that being said, here's where our bottom hem is going to be. I am going to go through and serge this bottom hem on both of the pieces so that I have a finished end seam before we go through and hem it up. So I'm just going to serge the bottom real quick. Okay, so I have the bottom serged. Then I'm just going to do what she suggests in the tutorial. Let me grab my poker. I'm just going to use my thread puller. So what she suggests in the video for this edge is to use one of your loopers. So that's one of these, where your needle would be going through, and to gather using that to make this edge curved. So I'm just going to slightly, sorry, can't even see. I'm just going to slightly gather that so that this edge will curve up like that whenever I sew it down. So just a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie off my end as I usually would. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit of a gather right there at the end of my seam. That way whenever I flip it up to do my hem, you can see it's more curved that way. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all four sides, and then I'll be right back. All right, so now make sure you're on the wrong side. I'm just going to be going through with my cover stitch and bringing this hem up and hemming it, and then you can see that nice curve right there. So I'm going to do that to both of these. You can just use your sewing machine. So however you would normally do your hem. If you wanted to have another option, what I think I'm going to try next time I make these is, instead of doing a normal hem like this, doing the facing, where you have like a strip that's the same shape as what you're wanting, and it's about 1/4 of an inch thick, 1/2 inch thick, and then you sew it on to the front like this, and then you'll flip it, and then it'll be on the back, and you'll do a hem along the edge of that. I wish I had something here that did that so I could show you what I meant, but I'm sure you've seen something with it. I think, I'm trying to think of a pattern that does it, but it basically makes it to where it's a seam right here, and it flips up, and then this is nice and covered, and then it goes through, and then you don't have to worry about trying to get this perfect because it'll already be there. But I'm going to go through and hem this, and like I said, I'm going to do it with black so that you can see it really easily. Alright, so now I've got my edges done. So each of these will be going together like this to create one of the fronts. So if I had it like this, you can see that it creates a leg hole now, and it'll be going right here. And connecting to each other. So I'll need to put my ruffle right here, this way, right here, which means it needs to be right side out this way. So it needs to go face down onto this side, and then right sides together, face down here. So I'm going to go through and pin this. I'm going to make sure that I have my chalked line right there of where I want it to end. There. I don't use a ton of pins. I just use enough to make sure that I know that that's where I want it to go. You can use as many pins as you want. It doesn't hurt. my ending piece. Just gonna make sure it lines up well. I'm gonna put a pin here. And then, like I said, you can use your sewing machine. If you want to have finished edges, you'll need to use a serger, or probably an overlock stitch on your sewing machine. Just one more pin right there in the middle. All right, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to sew this. Make sure it's nice and flat. And then I will come back and show you what it looks like, and then I'll probably top stitch the ruffle down as well. I did just top stitch on my sewing machine on the dinosaur, on the dinosaur one, just top stitch on my sewing machine. Might use my my cover stitch, but you can use your sewing machine too. And then we'll iron it. So, all right, I'm gonna go grab that and I'll be right back. Okay, so basically this is what you have now. It needs to be top stitched down. This one, I don't know why. Tell me if you know. This one sits flatter than this one, as well as the one from the first one I did. This one sits flatter than this one. And I don't know if you noticed in the pictures of the tutorial, but their left one sat flatter than their right one too. What are we doing to the right one that is making it where it's not as flat? What is happening? It surely doesn't bother anyone else. It just bothers me. I don't know why. Anyway, we're going to top stitch it and then iron it, and maybe it'll stay down better. But I'm just going to do my cover stitch along this edge. You can use your sewing machine, like I've said each time. It does not matter. I used to use a twin needle on my sewing machine. With woven, you can just do the straight stitch like we did right here with the edge of the ruffle. So I'm going to go through and do that. I'm going to hide this little guy. Tuck that in. And as I said probably 17 times, I will be right back. So I went ahead and cover stitched down both sides. Let me show you on this one. Went ahead and cover stitched down on the ruffle and next to it to try to see if that held it down a little bit better, and I think it did, especially on this right side. I think it keeps it from flipping quite a bit. So now I'm going to do right sides together, and I'll just flip this one inside out. That was not the easiest way to show you how I did this, but right sides together, ruffles will be touching. I just do maybe 3 pins just so that I remember what I'm doing, especially if I'm coming back to it. Seams, so that I remember that I'm going to be doing those seams together. And then last one will be up the side. Alright, so that's ready. And then as you can see, whenever I was doing this part got off. So what I'm going to do is make sure that everything lines up really well. And then check to see, oh, got so many stray threads. Check to see where I can make them meet again. And then whenever, looks like whenever I go around and serge that top piece, that they'll actually meet really well. Because that part meets. So this part just needs to kind of be connected back down to it. But anyway, I'm going to go through and sew that together. And then whenever we get back over here, we will talk about how to put in your elastic into the waistband. So I'm just going to start here and sew along this edge. Oops, not that edge. Sew along this edge. Right, so I just sewed around the edge of that. So I have them tucked in still with the right sides facing each other. So now I'm going to take that out. Now we have our shorts. They're inside out right now. So what I'm going to do is go around the edge of this and just serge around the circle. And like I said, around this part, I'm going to connect those. So I'm going to go ahead and serge that. And then I'll be right back, actually, let's go ahead and do the waistband on it. I was going to go ahead and serge around that and connect this, but I'm going to be serging when I put the waistband on anyway. So what you do is to have a flat waistband, you just overlap it like so, and then you'll zigzag stitch. So what I'm going to do real quick is go around my pants and pin them in fourths. And what I mean by that is this is going to be a half and half, and then I'm going to find the center of this side and pin, and then find the center of this side and pin. And I'm going to do the same thing with my elastic. I'm going to go around my elastic and pin it into fourths. That way it's all lined up evenly, and then I'll attach it onto, I'll clip them together, and I'll be right back to show you how I do that part. Let me just go around and pin them. Alright, so I've got it pinned. I just went around and did fourths for each of it, and now I just need to stretch it, and I'm going to sew along the top of this. I'm going to serge it so that my ends are finished. So I'm just going to stretch and serge. Once I get that done, I'll come back and show you what it looks like and then go on to the next step. Right, so just went around and serged that, making sure to stretch between each of my pinned spots. You can obviously pin more as well. It's all personal preference on how it works best for you. Oops. Sorry, my serger pile. Alright, so I'll also have an end to tuck here. Okay, I'll tuck that in a second. So now you're going to be folding this under, and you can either top stitch with the sewing machine or with a cover stitch, but you have to make sure that you top stitch down your ruffles as well. So just be very careful whenever you're top stitching that down so it doesn't get all bunched up. Make sure you get it nice and straight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go top stitch this down. If you do it with your sewing machine, just make sure you get it on the serged part. With your cover stitch as well, you want to make sure that it gets lined up on there and covers that. So I'm going to go do that and then make sure I don't have any more pieces of thread that need to be tucked, and we'll be back to show the final piece. All right, we're done. All finished. The side's staying down a lot better. It all looks great. My elastic is in. Sorry, it's shaking quite a bit. Elastic is in. It's nice and even. All right, can't wait to try these on her. I'm actually working on a top right now to try to go with it. Made some cute little pajama bottoms for her. I might go through and steam press this later to try to get it to stay down a little bit better. If you have some tips on getting your right ruffle to work with you, please let me know. That side's looking great. This side's having a little meltdown over here. It won't stay down all the way, but maybe steam pressing it will help a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm up for any of it. Anything that I can't help with, I'll be sure to research and reach out to other people about to try to get you an answer, so that we can solve any problems. Thanks for watching, and can't wait to help you in the next sew along. Bye.